The CDC is America's frontline defense against disease, shaping public health policy and providing trusted guidance. But in 2025, the agency faces a crisis at the highest level. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a longtime vaccine skeptic, was appointed Secretary of Health and Human Services, overseeing the CDC. In August, CDC Director Susan Menarez was abruptly fired after refusing to implement Kennedy's controversial directives to limit vaccine availability, including for COVID-19. Her dismissal shocked the public health world, signaling a shift toward Kennedy's personal views over scientific consensus. Critics saw this as a direct threat to the CDC's independence. The administration quickly installed Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill, a Kennedy ally, as acting CDC director. The move placed the agency's future and its scientific integrity squarely in political crosshairs. The CDC, once a beacon of evidence-based policy, now faces uncertainty about its mission and leadership. The stakes, the nation's trust in its most important public health institution. The question, will science or politics guide America's health policy? The answer is far from clear. Director Menarez's firing triggered a wave of resignations from 4 senior CDC officials, protesting what they called dangerous political interference. Their departure marked a loss of decades of expertise and a blow to the agency's morale. Hundreds of CDC staff staged a walkout at headquarters, demanding protection for scientific independence. Scientists in lab coats gathered outside, a rare public protest from those who usually work behind the scenes. Their message, the CDC's mission, is being compromised by anti-vaccine policies. The walkout was a warning. Evidence-based guidance is at risk. Staffers said they could not serve under leadership that undermines science. The protest made headlines, highlighting a deepening crisis within the CDC. The agency's credibility, built over decades, now hangs in the balance. The nation watched as its top health experts took a stand for science. The turmoil at the CDC drew swift condemnation from Senator Bernie Sanders, ranking member of the Senate Health Committee. Sanders, a longtime critic of Kennedy's vaccine skepticism, called the firing of Menarez a war on science. In a New York Times op-ed, he accused Kennedy of endangering public health and using his position to push anti-vaccine policies. Sanders warned that undermining vaccine access could lead to the return of deadly diseases. He emphasized that vaccines are safe, effective, and backed by overwhelming scientific consensus. Sanders called for Kennedy's immediate resignation, arguing that his leadership threatens the nation's health. The senator's demand turned the CDC crisis into a national political showdown. The debate now centers on whether public health policy will follow science or ideology. Sanders' call for action rallied lawmakers and the public to defend the CDC's mission. The stakes, the future of vaccine policy, and the safety of millions. The outcome could reshape American public health for years to come. The White House defended its actions, with Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stating the president has the right to replace agency leaders who don't align with his vision. The administration framed the firing as necessary to restore trust and transparency at the CDC. Leavitt said President Trump and Secretary Kennedy are committed to a new direction for the agency. The White House did not address scientific concerns, focusing instead on policy alignment. Supporters argued that agencies must follow the elected leadership's agenda. Critics countered that firing respected scientists undermines credibility and public trust. The appointment of Jim O'Neill as acting director was seen as consolidating Kennedy's influence. The administration's defense deepened the divide, framing the conflict as a battle over control, not science. Public health experts warned that credibility comes from independent science, not political loyalty. The CDC's future now hinges on whether it can remain a science-driven institution. The CDC faces a leadership vacuum and shaken morale, raising fears about its ability to respond to health crises. Vaccine access is now a flashpoint, with experts warning that new policies could lead to outbreaks of preventable diseases. The conflict pits scientific consensus against political ideology at the highest levels. The outcome will determine if U.S. health policy remains grounded in science or shifts toward controversy. The call for Kennedy's resignation has escalated the crisis into a national debate. The CDC's credibility and the health of millions are at stake. As the nation watches, the agency's future and its role as a trusted source of guidance hangs in the balance. The core question, can the CDC withstand political pressure and uphold its mission? The answer will shape America's public health landscape for years to come. The stakes have never been higher.